Hello, Year 3, and welcome to Thursday's literacy lesson, where we are finally writing the ending of our fantastic Professor Pete stories that you have been trying really hard with this week. So on Tuesday, you wrote the beginning of our Professor Pete story. Yesterday, you wrote the middle of it, where we introduced our evacuee character. And today, we are going to be writing the ending of our stories. And to be able to do that, we need to remember to include our VCOP techniques, don't we? So we need to make sure we use the right punctuation, the capital letters and full stops to make sure that our sentences make sense. And using those amazing techniques like our double adjectives and our really great vocabulary and conjunctions and range of openers to make our sentences even better. And I've also included our adverbs to use, which so many of you included in yesterday's work. You use them throughout your sentences and also as adverb openers as well. So that was very impressive to see. Just like yesterday's lesson, we have chosen 3 pieces of work which we think were really, really good and can tell that the children are trying their very best at home. Now, it was quite hard to choose because so many of you did brilliant writing yesterday, but we've chosen these 3 children because we think they've got some great ideas that you might be able to magnify. So the first person we've got is Max Owens in 3H. So Max has done a super great job, and his piece of writing is very detailed with lots of description. So that's why I thought I would show you Max's. So Max has put, the air raid siren echoed loudly through the underground. Scared, traumatized families huddled together tightly to try and protect themselves from the bombs. A small evacuee girl named Ellie May was holding her hands tightly against her ears to try and mask the loud, piercing sound from the siren and the raging bombs hitting the ground. Ellie May was smartly presented with a neat flowery dress, a green soft beret placed neatly upon her long, brown, wavy hair. Fear filled her small, blue, sparkly eyes. Suddenly, she spotted a very strange-looking man speeding down the steep, long stairs. Oh, I wonder who that could be. Just then, he stopped for a brief moment. When he stopped, Ellie noticed he was a bit bemused. Ellie hadn't witnessed anything this unusual in all her life. He was heading in Ellie's direction. She noticed he was wearing a pair of round, large glasses and a grey, scraggly hat and a white fluffy moustache and a blue bumpy jumper. Also, Max, you've included a little bit of your professor description there, and you've also included your evacuee description, which is absolutely great. So Max, I love how descriptive this is. I like how you start to tell me how Ellie's feeling and also how your professor's feeling. She's feeling very confused. She's thinking, who's this man coming towards me? And he's looking very bemused, isn't he? He's arrived in World War II and he is a bit scared. Is he confused? He's seen so many new people. So that's really, really great that you have done that. And you've included your paragraph, haven't you? You've split it up into paragraphs. So well done, Max. That's a fantastic piece of writing. I can't wait to read the ending of your story. Next up, we've got Luna. So Luna's in my class, and I can tell that Luna has been trying her very best with her writing at home. I'm very impressed with this, Luna, and I think you've used some really good pieces of punctuation here. You've even included your inverted commas for your speech, which is superb. So Luna has put, in a hurry, Amelia dashed down the steps that led to the underground train station. Quickly, she entered the platform. She froze in fear. All around her were crying, distressed children who were frightened. The noise was painfully loud, hurting Amelia's ears. As she covered her ears, she could see a frightened little boy sat on a brown tattered suitcase. He had tear-stained eyes with a light brown label around his neck. Amelia felt heartbroken, and decided to help the little boy. "What's wrong, little boy?" she asked. He answered, "I've lost my mum." Amelia took his tiny hand and guided him along the crowded platform. Amelia didn't want to leave the boy frightened and alone. So Lily's even included some apostrophes here. So I can tell you've really tried with the punctuation in your story. I also like how you followed the similar structure. You've clearly been looking at your story map and using some of the ideas I modelled in the lesson. So I'm very, very impressed with that, Luna, and so should you be very proud of your work. And finally, in 3K, we've got Christian. So Christian, you've done some fantastic writing here. And may I say, some really beautiful handwriting. I can tell you've really tried. So you put, at that moment, he heard a boom. A bomb exploded behind him. At the same time, he heard a shouting man saying, "What are you doing out in the open? Didn't you hear the siren? Get into the shelter now." Pete did what he was told and went to the underground train. Pete saw around him people escaping, huddled groups, babies crying, and worried people looking for their children. I love commenting a list there, Christian, well done. Under a bench was a tall, sad, lost and lonely 7-year-old boy. He had an old hat, blue coat, shorts and fat boots. Professor Pete went up to the boy to check if he was all right. He asked the boy his name. The boy said, "My name is Bob." Pete said, "Nice to meet you. My name is Professor Pete. What are you doing here?" Bob said, "My parents are lost. I heard the air raid siren and I went down the steps and I was lost." "I hope we'll find them on the way," Pete said. Quickly, they checked the underground, but still no sign of the boy's parents. Well done, Christian. You have told the story really, really well. You've not missed any details out. You told me exactly what's happening. You follow the structure of your story, and you've done really, really well. So that is super. As we said, it was really hard to choose 3 children to be able to showcase their work because you've all tried your very best. So if you can see any ideas that you would like to magpie, you can write them down, can't you, and add them to your story. So well done, you 3. We were very, very happy to see how hard you had worked yesterday. So today we are going to be looking at our ending of Professor Pete's story. Can you remember how the Professor Pete story ends? Hopefully you can remember that it ends with the boy finding their mum or their dad. They found them, didn't they? So they find their mum and they can say goodbye before they are evacuated to the countryside. So the ending of our Professor Pete story then was, by the time they reached the station, the train was already waiting at the platform. Anxiously, the boy looked around for his mother so he could say goodbye. He had just given up hope when through the crowd glimpsed a face that he recognised. They were reunited for a quick goodbye before the boy had to board the train. "Take care, son," she said. "You'll be safer in the country. I'll see you soon." Professor Pete looked around at all the children and mothers saying goodbye and felt pleased that he had been able to help. Then he set off back to the time machine, hoping it was still in one piece. So we are going to end our story today where it's a happy ending, isn't it? The child gets to say goodbye to his parents and then he goes off to the countryside to stay safe during the blitz. So, like I've done in the past 2 lessons, I'm going to look at my story map that I've done and I can see that I'm going to start with talking about the train arriving at the station. And then I'm going to discuss my evacuee finding his mother and being able to say a nice goodbye until they are hopefully reunited again in the future. And then all the children are going to board the plane and my Professor Percy and his mum are going to say goodbye to him. And then we're going to go back to the time machine because I'm hoping it's still in one piece because Professor Percy needs to get back to the present time, doesn't he? He doesn't want to stay in World War II. So hopefully his time machine hasn't been bombed and it's still there in one piece. So this is a piece of writing I have written for today's ending. So just then, the long empty train pulled into the station and the children began to say their emotional goodbyes. Desperately, the boy dashed around the platform so that he could say goodbye to his mum. He had just given up hope But through the crowd, he glimpsed a face he recognized. Speedily, he rushed past the people in their way and jumped into his mum's arms. Look after yourself, son, whispered his mum. You are a brave boy, and hopefully it won't be long until I see you again. Once the boy had boarded the train, Professor Percy waved goodbye before heading back up the steps. He was pleased he was able to help. Quickly, he dashed back to his time machine, hoping it was still in one piece. So as you can see, I've used some ideas from the original Professor Pete story to help with my structure, and I have followed my story map. I've included some of my own ideas as well, haven't I? So, as normal, I've gone over and checked, I've included my VCOP, so I've got some double adjectives, I've got my conjunctions, I've up-leveled some words. Can anybody spot any words I have up-leveled? I've written dash there. I could have just said the boy ran or the boy walked. I've tried to up-level my word to dash. I've also put rush. Did I put in run? I put rush. Instead of saying said his mum, I tried to think of a better word than said. I put whispered. Okay, but what I want you to focus on to find today in my writing, so I want you to pause this video and have a look at this. What openers have I used? Have I used any adverb openers? Okay, then I'll hopefully spotted the openers I have used. Just then, desperately, speedily, once the boy had boarded the train, and quickly. Have I included some adverb openers in there? I have, haven't I? Desperately, speedily, quickly. So I have tried to add in my little challenge to my writing. Now, as you can see, not every single sentence starts with an opener. I've got some sentences that don't start with openers, and that is absolutely fine. You don't need to think of an opener for every single sentence. If you go a few sentences and you can spot that you have not used an opener and you've mostly started them with he or the, then you can try and add an opener in to try and make your sentences even better. Now, in today's work, you will probably have some speech, won't you? Because the boy says goodbye to his mum. If he's saying it, he's going to be saying it out loud. So we will need, what piece of punctuation do we need when we are writing speech? We will need our inverted commas, won't we? So remember to put your inverted commas either side of when somebody is speaking. You all remember that really, really well today. So hopefully you continue, yesterday, sorry. So hopefully you continue to do that today. So today's task then, what you're going to go and do for me is you're going to write the ending of your story. So you can go back to this lesson now, you can rewind, you can go back to the parts that I have modelled to get some ideas and to help with your structure. And remember, you can look at your story map and see how you've ended your story. Okay, so I look forward to seeing your super work. You almost completed your stories. Well done, everybody. Remember, all we want you to do is try your very best. Be as creative as you like, add in all the ideas you really want to use, and try and impress your teachers. Have a great day.